Okay. It is like 2 p.m. 2:30 p.m. I am I have been up since 5 this morning. I'm running on one dare and like 500 mils of Coke. Like Coca-Cola, not drugs. If I would never touch a drug. Um, and like 2.5 hash browns. That's it. That's all I've consumed. I'm currently babysitting. One of them is asleep, and the other one is playing in the lounge. I'm just making sure he's not, freaking out or anything. So, hell. This is one of those things. It's like you never know how to start an essay except say the same thing about 4 different times in the same sentence. No, wait. You say the same thing in 4 different sentences. Yep. I'm very tired. I'm so tired. Man, I am so tired. Okay. So, Miraculous Ladybug. Meta. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep looking over, just make peace with it. Here's something that I've been thinking about a very long time, because as I am someone who tends to figure out absolutely everything that I can possibly figure out about any one thing that I'm doing, that's how hyperfixation works, I think. But like in general, I know a lot about Miraculous Ladybug, and God, don't get me started on Homestuck, but that was the one that sort of trained me for this. So, bear with me here. Every time I say that, I think about that stupid tweet. Bear with me. And the only way you can help is this coded message. There is a bear with me. God. Okay, I have to do this all in one take, so I need to not digress too much. Okay. Miraculous Ladybug. There is something that I don't know if anyone else has picked up on. And I'm not saying that because, like, I'm smarter than everyone. No, that is not the case. I'm a dumb piece of shit. But, there is something to be said about the fact that there are a lot of these little clues buried through the entire series that weigh on me often. I think about it way too much, absolutely too much. And, I guess people don't pick up on it also because these people don't write a show very well. I think we all, we've all noticed that. We've all gone through that a couple times. And I believe, I hope we've all made peace with it by now. But, it's a bit of a downer. And honestly, the writers, and I said this in a previous take, this is my third attempt at this. I said in a previous take, the writers do their best work when they're not trying. Thank you, Discord, please. The best example of this is in Frightening Gale, or Rossonode, if you're French, where Ladybug and Cat Noir do the handcuff thingy. If you asked episode 1 Ladybug and Cat Noir to do that, it would not have worked. But, and the, Frightening Gale is definitely post-Glaciator. It's every single interaction that they've had in between that is shown in that fight. Ladybug and Cat Noir. Cat Noir. Sorry for using the American. I just, it's easier than saying Chat Noir constantly because whatever. A lot of people watch it in English anyway. So, like, yeah, Frightening Gale. Man, sometimes the French is just so much better than English. Jesus Christ. Frightening Gale is a prime example of, like, the writers not trying and doing better than them when they do try. Like, yeah. But here's something, I don't know if it's intentional or not, because there are so many tiny clues, but also you have to wonder if it's by accident, given everything else, you know? But here is the most outstanding thing from, like, the whole of Miraculous seasons 1 and 2, as you know, as you know, being as they are, is that the implication is that Hawkmoth Papillon is not actually the big bad. We have the Akumas as, you know, monster of the week, and then we have Papillon as, like, the what's the word I'm looking for here? Boss? Question mark? They use boss in the final boss, and then, you know, there's Mayora, but that's the thing. Thanks to clues that we have gotten, it turns out that Hawkmoth Papillon may not in fact be the final boss, and might be a not correlated, related but separate problem. And here's why. 7 minutes to start an essay. We've all been there. So the first clue, actually, I don't know. The first clue chronologically, in terms of the series, I couldn't actually tell you, because it's kind of all blurred together, and some of them are really close, and then some of them are way later, and then. But the first clue in the context of this train of thought, or this thesis, if you will, this hypothesis, is that Ladybug and Cat Noir are only given the miraculous. Is it like a sheep, moose kind of deal? Or like a octopus thing? Octopods. Oh man. Never mind. Sorry, ADHD's a bitch. Is that Ladybug and Cat Noir are only given their miraculouses when Papillon starts making shit. And that's an important clue. Like, just that general fact. Because then you have to wonder, like, I don't know if anybody actually points it out in the show, but, but then you have to wonder, how did Papillon get his hands on a miraculous if he's an asshole? And then you begin to wonder, like, why does he also have the peacock? That's, it's end of season 1. I'm still mad about Mayora just... Anyway. Why does he also have the peacock? Why does he have 2 whole miraculouses if it's supposed to be a secret and it's only given in a time of need? He wasn't given 2. Probably not on purpose. And then, okay, so then you get Master Fu saying that he only made a mistake once or twice. He only got it wrong once. I think that's what he says in the English. But it's entirely possible that, like, through extrapolation we can tell that now that we know what both their powers are, that the peacock and the butterfly can be used together. Because you can have a hero and then a sidekick sort of animal minion of some kind. Natalie made a moth, but presumably it could be anything else. A dog, a skeleton, who knows? We don't. Akumas seem pretty varied. I mean, like, you look at Julika, the Reflector, and then you look at Horrificator or Malen, and you're like, would you think those are the same thing if you didn't know what an Akuma was? Miraculouses are weird. We still don't understand them. And, oh my god, do I want to understand them. The only reason I was excited for Queen Bee was because I wanted to know what the fuck the bee did. And it turns out it's like paralysis or something. I'm like, okay, cool. Good. I waited that long and tolerated Chloe that long for this. Valid. Fair. I'm not salty. I'm not salty, I swear. Hello, Zeke. It's okay. He's good. So, that said, those two clues. The first is that the miraculouses are given for a reason, okay? And that Papillon, and I'm assuming her name was Payon because there was no reason he could have had it if Emily wasn't, if his wife, Mrs. Agreste, wasn't the last peacock holder. And everyone's like, no, he was the peacock and she was the butterfly. No, he would not have made all of his iconography butterflies if it wasn't his. He loves his wife, but not enough. Not his ego is a bit, and we see that in Sandboy. That's another thing that the writers are showing more than they're actually, when they're actually not trying, because he says by Sandboy he is absolutely devolved into like a power-hungry maniac. Like, that's it. I mean, yeah, sure, you could say that he was also just trying to get more power so he could finally get the cat and the ladybug, but, like, why go for all 19 of the miraculouses when you've already got 2? And yes, we find out that he didn't use the peacock at all because it's broken. It's damaged. How? That's another clue. I'll come back to that. But in Sandboy, he's like, I will have all the power for myself, and I'm like, yep, he's lost it. He is no longer redeemable. He's just an absolutely insane old man. He's selfish. He's willing to give up his son. That line, you'll see what it's like to be a man with nothing left to lose. Hello, you have a son and a secretary that you are questionably in love with. Excuse me. I would snap Gabriel's neck with my own 2 hands. I would, and I wouldn't hesitate. That said, with those 2 clues, the next clue is that in Origins, they know what a supervillain is. That's important, because it could have just been a random statue. Or like a big granite dude. Or something. Like, you don't know his life. Except they clearly knew what a supervillain was. They somehow recognized it as a supervillain. He was going around, he was wrecking shit, and there was clearly some kind of magic involved. And that... they seemed to be able to recognize that as a supervillain, and that's important. Because a Heroes Day, the very existence of Heroes Day. I mean, sure, sometimes the cultures just have that. That's just, a random holiday people celebrate. I can't think of any right now. I mean, yes, there's a reason, but that's what I'm getting at. There's a reason, as in past heroes that we know about. They said there's in Bafana, Marinette's birthday. Tiki's like, yeah, there were tons of ladybugs before you. The Egyptian scroll, like the Egyptian ladybug, and she was given her miraculous because the king was being a dick. So like, more evidence for the whole miraculouses are only given for a reason. So why the fuck does Papillon has his? Saying that, we know that Joan of Arc was a ladybug. We know that there were other ladybugs, including Tentamushi. I think that was one I could think of off the top of my head. I think she was a Japanese ladybug. And there was a little Korean ladybug, and there was a girl in the Omuhimba tribe Mudeku Deku. I may have spent way too long looking into this because I'm a hoe for deep lore. But like, that said, I'm gonna say that a lot because I'm dumb. That said, oh shit, where was I? Thanks, ADHD. Where was I? Yeah, they know what a supervillain is. And they clearly know what a superhero is because they recognize Cat Noir and Ladybug. Ladybug. Why did I say that like that? But yeah, like clearly the history of Miraculouses in this planet, on this version of Earth or whatever, is like well known, or at the very least partly known. And according to like tweets and stuff from the writers, that a lot of historical figures, including Heracles, yes, I'm saying the Roman version. No, Greek. Roman version is Hercules. Yeah, fuck. And Hippolyta. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Sometimes it's like Hippolyta, and I'm like, nah, I don't care for that shit at all. They were miraculous holders. And that's another thing that I've talked about before, which is like, humans will just call whatever the fuck they want. Look at the French. Pomme de terre. Is it an apple? No. Is it anything like an apple? No, but we're gonna call it one anyway. Oh, God. But yeah, and like, this is the thing. When you're a young culture, do you know what a miraculous is? No. Not unless you're holding one. And even then, if you don't have contact with the Guardian, you still don't know, like, jack shit. So, maybe, demigods, minor gods, just gods in general. I'm still pretty about the whole like Ladybug, the Ladybug's version of Earth. If ancient Egyptians, like, because you see in a tapestry in a comic that the black cat, the ancient Egyptian black cat actually had a cat head, and in art for the past Ladybugs, you see that the Cat Noir for Mudeku Deku, the Oumuamua girl. I fucking hope I'm remembering that correctly. The ancient African ladybug. Her black cat turned into a lion, just straight up turned into a black lion. Just presumably his entire body just turned into a black lion. And you know what? Plague, you're valid. Like, I mean, it makes sense too, from like the way the Miraculous work is they give you the form of whatever you conceive to be a hero. So like if lions were what you perceive to be a hero in the version of a cat, something powerful and warrior like, then sure. Not that I know anything about culture, that's just extrapolation, but not know anything about that culture, that's just extrapolation. I don't have time to edit this, I need to do this in one take. Okay, so fuck, where was I? Right, yes, knowing about Miraculouses, Guardians, yes, going back to, yes, clearly this world, this miraculous version of Earth, has some clue about supervillains and superheroes. So that's hint number 3. Actually, I think I've given more than 3. Oh, motherfucker. That's another hint. That's another hint to the list. Another hint that I can think of off the top of my head is the fact that Gabriel's house is packed to the brim with nuclear fucking weapons. You do not build a house, because he said that I think Adrian said that he lived there his whole life. You do not build a house with that much fucking security unless you know there is something coming for you. Okay? Add that to the idea that Master Fu has all... How many is it? 19 months. 17. All the other 17 Miraculouses in his care in Paris, of all places, when they originated in China. He followed... I think he followed Papillon here. He followed Papillon and whoever Paillon was at the time. I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure the last Peacock user was Emily. but this show has thrown me curveballs before, and I kind of hate it. Thanks, I hate it. God. So, given all those clues, the last one is Emily herself. For the longest time we were all just like, what the fuck? Did she leave him and Gabriel just didn't tell Adrian? Or, like, some of us were like, well, what the fuck, where is she? Is she dead? And he just didn't tell Adrian? Like, Gabriel doesn't tell Adrian shit, but still. You know, what? Any clue at all? Like, we know nothing about her, except now we know, thanks, Gorizilla and Queen's Battle. Style Queen and Queen Bee. Queen Wasp. We know that she's in a goddamn coma. Or she's dead, and being very, very, very well preserved. That said, she is in a kind of lair sort of deal. That's another clue, that's important also. Where am I going? Right, yes. We didn't know what was going on with her, and now we know. She is out of capacity. Incapacitated. I have a wonderful handle on the English language. She's incapacitated. She's not dead. And if she is, I think Gabriel would just give up. I think she's just sick and in an induced coma. But Adrian never mentioned her being sick. So this is the thing. Adrian has no fucking clue. We can assume that everything was fine before she disappeared. They weren't fighting. Although, judging by the way that Adrian literally has a person, like his entire personality indicates that both him and Chloe's parents were shitty way before his mom disappeared. Everyone's like, Adrian must have learned, nice tendencies from somebody, so, it was probably his mum. And his mum, I mean, there is that bit in Jackety where the dad's like, yes, you're angry. I know that someone else that was angry and passionate, and then, like, dramatically looks at his wife painting, and I'm like, yeah, you're not very subtle there, buddy. Oh shit, I'm getting a cold. Oh, sorry about that. So, like, right, what was I? Emily. There is no indication that anything was wrong before she disappeared. And we know that Adrian blames himself for it, because that's what little bursts of sunshine who don't understand the world do. And we can presume that she was a nice lady, and that she wasn't sick or fighting with Gabriel, because if she went missing after those things had happened, Adrian would be much more inclined to think she was dead or left him. Like, left his dad. Also, there's no way that it can be assumed that there is no way that a lady like that would just leave her son with her shitty ex. She'd probably have taken him with her. Like, she probably would have taken her son with her if she was to eventually leave. Another thing, Mayor is the biggest thing to unpack here, so I'll just hold on there. So we don't know. We still don't know what happened to Emily. And now I have a theory, which is dangerous. It's always dangerous to have theories, because either you're correct and you go, oh shit, or you're wrong and you just feel bad. But here is my current working theory. Gabriel says that his wife gave him the book in Thailand. On a trip to Thailand? I believe it was a trip to Thailand. Might have been another country there. My memory is very fuzzy and I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. I believe it. No, Tibet. Wait. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. he got the book from his wife. Gabriel has always been an asshole. That we know. However, if Emily was nice, that might have spurred Master Fu to give her both the peacock and the butterfly. And if they're supposed to be used in tandem, which it seems like they are, he might have entrusted her to choose her own partner. And she might have chosen Gabriel. Because, obviously, they're married or something. Or something. They might have not been married at the time, is what I mean. But, whatever. They were together, clearly. So, you know, whatever. I only got it wrong once. Oof. Once is all that... Anyway. Are you sure about this? I only got it wrong once. Once is all you need to fuck you up, my dude. So, Emily gives him the butterfly, takes the peacock for herself, and then presumably they go back to Paris. Now, some part there includes the reason that they were given them at all, which seems to be some kind of giant, terrifying monster or power of some kind. Because look at the peacock and the butterfly. They are not direct fighters. They give powers to proxies. That kind of implies that whatever this thing was, this threat, this, ominous, giant, scary power that they were given them for, to fight, is not something that can be fought directly. Like, I always keep thinking about that, but I don't think that's relevant. There was a comic that was like this black sludge, and there was an entire fic written about it on fanfic that I read for like years. Months, I guess. I haven't been a fan of that long. It's like some kind of threatening entity that we haven't seen yet and hasn't even been made reference to, except in Mayora and through all the context clues that I just gave you before. Gabriel and Emily build the house, and then they have their son. Adrian has lived in that house his whole life. He's never fucking left it, which is horrifying and concerning. At some point, Natalie is hired. I don't know whether it's because... The way she speaks in Mayora implies that she was hired after Emily went missing. But... she's like, yeah, you made a promise to her, not like we made a promise to her, or... she sort of says it like in a disconnected tense, which is fine because professionalism. But also like the context of the conversation. But anyway, Natalie says, you made the promise to her that you would keep trying. And I'm going to help you keep it. So they build the house. At some point, Natalie is brought on as staff. And then Papillon and Le Paon, or Emily Paon, Mrs. Agrest, Mrs. Peacock, Mrs. Papillon, run around giving powers to people to fight whatever this scary entity is. And of course, Gabriel, that's why Gabriel builds in such security, because this thing is coming for him. And this is where the next clue comes in. Remember how I said it would be relevant later, but, Mayora. The brooch. The brooch. Fucking English language. The brooch is damaged. Which is interesting. Because when we see it in Volpina, I almost just said the whole, like, season code. I was like, no, let's just call it what it is. In Volpina, Adrian looks at it, and it's hidden. And it has about 7 tail leaf thingies? Leaf feathers, Lula. animal leaves. Animal leaves. Okay. Feathers. It has about 7 feathers, but when Natalie opens the safe in Mayura, it's transformed. It's not hidden anymore. But it's still inactive. And that's something that's interesting. I'm pretty sure it's just an animation, like a continuity error. Whatever. Lazy ass animators. But the idea that it's damaged is interesting to me. Because Natalie's getting sick. In the whole conversation they have after that, Natalie's like, oh god. Never let me fake laugh again. Never let me fake cough again. For fuck's sake. Natalie's getting sick. Presumably what made Emily sick. The only thing that can destroy a miraculous. They can be removed, they can be deactivated, they can be forcibly de-transformed, but they can't be damaged by anything but cataclysm. Fucking, you know how many times Ladybug's yo-yo would have snapped if it was a normal ass yo-yo? Huh? That thing is infinite string. It's magic. Like, Deeplaw says that they're like this sort of special metal. And they say jewels in the show as if any actual gemstone could hold that much power. Like, yeah, gemstones can hold energy, depending on what you believe. But, that much power? The power of a literal ancient tiny being? 10 centimeters? Is this big? Like, no. No normal stone can hold that. No normal stone can hold that. So, I have to assume, and this is what I personally believe, is that the Kwamis somehow infused their power with the metal, like on a basic level, or basic, on like an intrinsic level, an inherent level. And so, like, you see, the Miraculouses go through a bunch of stuff. Like, God, if it was a normal ass ring, when Adrian dropped it in the freezer, that thing, that ring would have snapped. Or, like, I mean, the temperature wasn't exactly cold enough to, like, make the metal distort, but, like, what I'm saying is that all the shit that they go through, normal metals and gems wouldn't withstand that. There is something special about whatever the Miraculouses are made of, and that's why I think it's Kwame energy, because the only all-powerful things in this show is, like, the Kwamis themselves. And whatever the fuck this giant threat is, because we don't know, and they're not telling us that it's terrifying me. So that's what I'm getting at. What the fuck damaged the Peacock Miraculous? We know that it happened recently. Like, it's only been about a year since Emily went missing. But Adrian didn't... Oh, yeah, Majestia, the existence of Majestia. Adrian didn't know that his parents were, fucking superheroes. Though it can be assumed by the existence of media like Majestia, and I almost referenced something from a completely different show. I'm very tired. It can be, like, Majestia, the comic book character that Alia loves so much. It can be assumed from that, and the whole, cultural knowledge of superheroes and supervillains, that somebody knew that Papillon and Mayora existed, or Mayora, the Paon, last Paon. Pre-Paon? Predecessing Paon. Mayora's predecessor. Emily! Just call her Emily. It can be assumed that somebody knew who they were. Or, I mean, that they existed. Not necessarily the secret identities. It can be assumed that somebody knew who they were. Or that they existed. Somehow. And look, like, Emily only looks like 30, and Gabriel looks like he's fucking 60, which, as rich people, this doesn't surprise me. Still concerning, disappointed, but not surprised. I expect nothing, and I'm still disappointed. But then, like, on that, like in saying that, Adrian didn't know that, like, his parents' identities, superheroes' identities existed. And, I mean, God, I just remembered that post. It's like, what if Adrian flips the wrong switch and blows up the top part of the house? Oh, God. Adrian wouldn't even know, like, half this shit. Because obviously they didn't tell him, but also because, like, he was a baby the whole time. But, like, this is the thing. Did they just not happen to be using their Miraculouses while they were raising Adrian? Shittily, mind you. Thank you, Gabriel. Did the threat go away for a while? Or was the nuclear bombs just Mr. Gabriel's horrible, neurotic over-preparedness? Oh, shit. Okay. We can be right for a minute. We just don't know. We need more information, Zag. Fucking tell us, please. I'm dying here. Oh, right, yes, the theory. I've diverged a little. So then, at some point, this threat comes to Paris from wherever it was, presumably in Tibet. I think it was Tibet. Might have been Thailand. Presumably wherever they got the Miraculouses at the time. It manages to make its way to Paris. And it comes for their Miraculouses. Like, Master Fu clearly followed them. And it, like, he said that there was a horrible disaster that was his fault. Which kind of implies that they were on holiday. Yeah, Gabriel says they were on holiday, and they got the Miraculouses on holiday, and then their holiday ended, and they took the Miraculouses with them and didn't defeat the evil. Which, I mean, you know, deportation. That's just how it works. But like, there's still a lot of speculation. But presumably, Master Fu wants to have all the Miraculouses in the box for, you know, in case of emergencies or whatever. So he follows them to Paris, because that's where they went, clearly. And then he's just hanging around because he gave them a job, and they, you know, have to do it. But he may as well be where the two active Miraculouses are, right? So he's in Paris, they're in Paris, and then whatever they left in Tibet, Thailand, I feel so bad about that, God. I don't even want to look it up. I'm scared to know the answer. It follows them to Paris. And then, for some reason, for, you know, however long, before the series, it might have been before Adrian was born, that the evil, the threat, actually damaged the peacock. And then it just took 14 years for Emily to get sick enough to go into a coma. Or it happened overnight, and Adrian was 13 and didn't notice shit, and nobody in the city noticed shit, because something damaged a Miraculous. And I don't think they've been conveying how much of a big deal that is, but that's kind of terrifying. The way that they had to get rid of Queen Wasp was actually to destroy, because there was no way to break it otherwise. And I was always of the opinion that it's like the Akuma would somehow weaken an object that would have been otherwise less destructible, because that's kind of how failsafes work with, like, magic shit like that, or that's how good, well-written failsafes work with magic stuff. But, like, something, this threat that they were given the Miraculous for, damaged the peacock. Whether it was before Adrian was born, and it only took 14 years for the damage to get bad enough to actually put Emily in a coma. Or it happened overnight. Which I think is the better to think about. The more sense, the more interesting, let's say, option. Because if it happened 14 years ago, why didn't Hawkmoth start earlier? If it happened overnight, okay. Just think about this. No one knew jack shit before Origins, before September 1st in the year, whichever year Miraculous takes place in. September 1st or September 31st? September 1st. This is the first day of school. Nobody knew jack shit. There weren't supervillains before that. Hawkmoth, Papillon, whichever, hadn't used his Miraculous in some time. But judging by the way he controls Naru, not a good thing, but an informational thing, means he's had some practice. He's been using it, or at least had it on, had it around, for a while. He's had Naru for a while. He clearly knows way more about Guamis and the Miraculous, maybe through studying the book, but also consider that he can't read it. Presumably, there has been no superhero activity in the last 14 years. Because nobody in Paris is like, oh yeah, Akumas, that was a thing that happened, 10 years ago. No, nobody says, at least nobody to Adrian and Marinette says, yeah, no, Akumas are back. Nobody said that. So, presumably, whatever this thing was, found Emily and Gabriel, took Emily the fuck out, and oh god, I hope my laptop doesn't die while I'm filming this. Took Emily the fuck out somehow overnight. Yes, the peacock is damaged, presumably overnight, because if it had happened before, and in Mayora, Hawkmoth says, what if I told you my wish would help the whole world? Which is another clue, because that implies that he equates bringing his wife back, which was stated as his goal in True Love Always Wins. Was it Zombie Zoo, maybe? If Zombie Zoo, yeah, it might have been Zombie Zoo. He says, if true love always wins, my wish will really come true. And we know for sure, with that line, that his goal is to bring back Emily, but if he equates bringing back Emily with saving the world, however, delusionally in his head, then there has to be a deeper meaning to that. Because, there is clearly some kind of backup, solid backup, that he's been running on in his head for the last year. I think by the end of Season 2 it's been a year, because they go through autumn and winter in Season 1, and spring and summer in Season 2, and then Marinette mentions in the first episode of Season 3 that the year is gone past, and they're back in, they just finished summer break. So, it's a new school year. That's why Leela went back, because she couldn't lie to her mum for that long. But, oh, fuck. Right, yes, 14 years. 14 years, yes. He equates bringing his wife back, his partner, with saving the world. Clearly, he still thinks that the only way, or that the best way, to defeat whatever this big threat is that he chocked his house full of weapons for, and that has clearly taken down his wife, can only be defeated by using a healed peacock and the butterfly. Clearly. There is something bigger going on here, and that's what I'm scared of. He hasn't been using his miraculous. The thing hadn't shown up yet. So it shows up overnight. It fucks Emily in the ass. Okay, maybe that's a little too vulgar. It shows up overnight, fucks Emily up, and he's like, well, shit. How do I fight this thing without the person I'm supposed to be fighting it alongside, you know? And then he's like, okay, I'll go find the two miraculouses that I could kick anyone's ass with, and use it to bring back my wife. And, you know, then obviously we have the entire series from there. Like, he devolves into an absolutely egotistical, selfish maniac and, you know, throws his son under a bus and fucks a bunch of people over and ruins life on a daily basis for all of Paris. But, yeah, my previous point remains. There is something bigger going on. And that's my big, you know, sparkly metaphor, it's motherfucker. Okay, that's the thing. That's the big takeaway from here. And I will English shortly, I swear. That's the big takeaway from here. There is something deeper. It's not that deep. It's something bigger, a bigger, scarier threat than Hawkmoth and Papillon. And it feels like a last-minute twist, or it will feel like a last-minute twist for everyone who doesn't see all the clues. But it makes a clever amount of sense to me. Because miraculouses are supposed to be used for good, and this guy is not using it for good. Well, he's using it for what he perceives to be good. It's just like my least kind of favorite villain. There is something bigger, some bigger threat that neither Master Fu nor Gabriel has made clear to anyone. And I sit here and I go, motherfuckers. And you know what? What's gonna be even funnier is if this is all if these clues aren't even related at all, and the writers really are that incompetent. I just sat here for almost 50 minutes, and I have a feeling it'll reach 50 minutes by the time I actually finish talking. But, trying to explain to you why I think that there is a second, bigger boss than the current big boss that they've been trying to fight for years. A year by this point. Months. Weeks. Akuma of the weeks. Thinking emoji. That's food for thought. At any rate, this has been Ramble Time with Lou. God. No, but yeah. So that's the end of that. If you made it all the way to the end, I salute you. You have to pay respects. God.